regards to the crew on this vessel, point out to you, of course, we're talking about a big ship here. She had a tonnage of 1,064 tons, a draft of about 8 feet of her hull that would go down to the water. Also point out to you, as I think George touched upon, she's got a flat bottom hull. We still have a high water table from our spring thaw. She's partially flooded right now, but she's resting on the bottom of the pond. Also point out to you that as she would be digging forward, she'd be backfilling behind her. So this pond would move with her as she would dig along. Big old boat that would float. However, there was a rather small crew. Only 6 men operated this vessel. The head honcho, the captain of this ship, was called the winch man. And he'd be situated in this upper deck called the winch room, there where the flags are poking out. It's full of gears and levers. You'll be welcome to come on board later on and check all that out. It's pretty neat up there. He was in control of this vessel. He could control the pitch of that digging arm, the speed of the bucket line, the bow, the gantry, the stacker, and the tailing. He was calling all the shots. He had a couple of assistants called deckhands or deckers, or laborers, serving as his eyes and ears. One stationed up front, one in the back. On a side note here, I'll share with you a story. There was a fella that took our tours out here a few years back. He was on this train and came into camp and approached us afterwards and indicated that he worked on Gold Dredge 8 in 1959 as one of those deckhands. It was pretty neat to chat with him. He told us some stories. One of which, I guess accordingly, he said that on any given day, if everything was operating smoothly, there wouldn't always be a whole heck of a lot for him to do, and that his primary responsibility was to make darn sure that the coffee stayed hot and fresh for that winch man at all times. Then they had a couple guys called the Oilers, mechanics. And back then there was no such thing as a Lowe's or a Home Depot or a Dredge 8 plumbing parts store. If anything broke down out here, most typically they'd have to fix it right on board. As you'll find later on, this main deck served as a big machine shop with a forge, a lathe, a drill press, all the tools necessary. If anything broke down, they'd fix it, machine it, retrofit it right on board. Also, by the nature of their names as being oilers, as you might imagine, there were a lot of moving parts on this vessel, and it was deafeningly loud. They'd run around with their grease guns trying to keep everything as lubricated as possible. Then finally, there was a fella called the panner, and he would come on board periodically with a gold pan and a shovel, and situate himself in that winch room next to the winch man, and as these buckets would clunk on by him, he'd reach out the window with his shovel and take random samples of material out of those buckets to then pan that material out to confirm that the gold he was recovering from those samples was consistent with the amount of gold that they were expecting to see, according to that drill log that George described here earlier. If they were recovering more or less gold than they were expecting, they could adjust their course accordingly. And with that, we're going to give you a panning demonstration. In a few minutes, as we round this corner and come into camp, and as you step off of this train, the crew is going to meet you, and we're going to hand every single one of you one of these. This is a poke sack of concentrates from an active placer mine of ours nearby. Head into the panning shed and have a seat. Should be nice and comfortable for you. Also, as we get underway with this, if anybody has any trouble watching us directly do this panning demo, I'm also on the cameras right now, and you can watch it on the TV screen. All right, so head into the panning shed, take the poke sack, and dump the entire contents of the poke into the pan, and set the poke sack aside. We'll pick that up for you later. The first thing you want to do then is drown it with lots of water and begin to stir and shake it up vigorously to get it good and loose. This action here kind of simulates what was going on inside that trommel, creating what was called a slurry. The water in this agitation helps create a void or a space between all the sand and the stones and allows the heavy gold to settle between the spaces to the bottom of the pan. That's where you want the gold to be before you pour anything out of here. So step one is lots of water and lots of shaking. Let's get after it. Want to hear the stones rattle and grind inside vigorously. That's my kind of rock and roll, baby. Jerry Lee Lewis would have made the best gold pan in the world. A whole lot of shaking going on. Now next I want to introduce you to this angle. This angle is very important. I'm going to talk about this a lot. These gold pans are designed to be held and used at this angle right here. Let's call that, say, about 45 degrees. What's happening as you initially start off flat and level and you're shaking it, the gold settles to the bottom of the pan. You then introduce this angle. The gold has established itself on this plane right here. And with the angle, it starts to slide down that plane until it intersects that bend in the pan. That's the absolute bottom. I also call that the pocket of the pan. It's easier to grasp this if you look at it from underneath. With the angle, it starts to slide down this plane to that point right where the water's dripping. Note that this point is lower than the lip of the pan. The gold is stuck right here. It cannot leave the pan. So we don't want to hold it flat anymore because that scatters the gold all over the place. You don't know where it is. We keep it at this angle at all times. It then slides to that one spot. You now know right where it is, and you can more easily control how to get rid of the sand on top of it. So we do not pan flat. We keep it at this angle at all times. We keep the angle right here. Let me hear you say that. We keep the angle. That was pitiful. Try that again. Let's keep the angle. Good. I'm trying to burn out in your brain. You'll have a new skill to put on your resumes when you head home. See, gold is one of the densest, heaviest elements that exists on our planet. Anybody here that may have taken notes in physics or chemistry class might recall the specific gravity of gold and what that means? Anybody? The specific gravity of gold is 19.3. What that means is that it's 19.3 times denser and therefore heavier than water. It also happens to be 8, 10, 12, 15 times heavier than anything else in this pan right now. Let's try this one. Do we have any fishermen on board? Anybody here like to go fishing? You know how you use a lead sinker? You know, you've held a piece of lead before, right? I mean, how it has that heft about it. Why do you suppose they call them lead sinkers? Because they sink, right? The specific gravity of lead is about 10. So therefore, gold is about twice as dense and heavy as lead. It's going to sink really quickly. It's already in that pocket in the bottom. And here's how we get rid of the sand on top of it. We stop shaking. Pour that water off. At that same angle, I'm going to maintain that angle. We keep the angle. I can even float the pan on the surface right now. The lip of the pan is right on the surface of the water. And at that angle, I'm going to push down into and lift up out of the water. Push into the water and lift up. Push down and lift up. Look at the water. Down and up. It comes in like a wave on the beach and picks up and skims off just the topmost layer of sand off that pile. There's no gold in that top layer. The gold's at the bottom by now. So we're going to repeat these 2 steps. I dip it 3 or 4 or 5 times. I pause and I go back to step 1. I shake it a little bit. Same angle. Keep the angle. The gold's in the pocket. I stop shaking. Pour the water off. Back to the beach. Dip it down and up 3 or 4 or 5 times. Let that water skim a little off the top. And repeat until we're down to a tablespoon or 2. Now, a few words of caution as we get underway. First, we don't want any big stones, okay, just the biggest ones, because they disrupt our little beach wave that we're trying to make. So any of the biggest ones, I rake to the top here. I rinse them off good, make sure they're clean. They're not nuggets, obviously. And then you can scoop them into the tub or throw them in your neighbor's pan. Let them deal that over there. Back to step 1. I'm shaking it at the angle. We keep the angle. Step 2, I dip it down at the beach, down and up. Let it skim off a little bit more. And back to step 1. We're just going to repeat these 2 simple steps. Now, another word of caution. I see a lot of folks tend to want to pivot it like this on that axis right there. That's all kinds of different angles. We just want one angle, about 45 degrees. We keep it and shake it at that angle. I dip it at the beach at that same angle. Another word of caution is folks tend to lose their patience with this and want to speed things up by combining these steps together. That's a strong word of caution against that. It's important to shake. That's what settles the gold into the bottom, into the pocket, singularly. That's all it's supposed to do. We dip it at the beach to get rid of the sand. Try to avoid doing both at the same time. And what I mean by that is if you're sitting here shaking this pan and shaking the sand out of the pan, you're shaking everything in that pan. You're shaking gold out too. If you're shaking sand away, you're quite likely also shaking gold away too. This method, by contrast, dipping it at the beach down and up, gently, letting the water carry some sand away. If you look at this carefully, this is only affecting the topmost layer of the sand pile. The gold remains nice and stable and steady underneath it all at the bottom. So here I'm shaking it, step 1, at that angle. Here I'm dipping it, step 2, at that angle. One or the other, but not both at the same time. Okay, so when we get down to about a tablespoon, right about there is good enough. We don't really need the pan anymore out of the pan. So I'm going to reserve some water to immerse that little pile. And here comes the final step. I put the water now at the bottom. It's the same angle, I've just reversed it. The water's at the bottom, the sand is at the top. In a gentle circular motion, I'm going to roll that water over the sand and bring it back to the bottom. It brings some sand with it. The sands are light, see? I continue to rinse that away. Ignore the sand. I'm looking up here for things that don't want to move. Eventually, all the light sands and stones are going to drift away. And that heavy, heavy gold remains behind. It's on the bottom. It's the last thing you see. There it is, nice and clean and free. Pay no mind to that piece right there. All the light stuff drifts to recover the gold. I'll come into this camera lens to try to give you a close-up of that. Hold it right there. I'm pointing at it there. I'll also walk the length of this train car. Now, when you're ready to recover the gold out of the pan, pour all the water out. The gold is still going to be damp. We've got little black film canisters for you nearby to put your gold into, if you remember what a film canister looks like these days. Set the film canister inside your pan, and then with a dry finger, you can push on the gold like a button on your keyboard. It's going to stick to your finger, and then tap your finger into the rim of the canister. It'll click right in it. Try to avoid the temptation of wanting to wipe your finger. You can actually lose your gold that way. Once it's on your finger, tap your finger firmly on the rim of the canister. It'll click right to the bottom. If you fill that film canister up, we'll get you another one. Guys, I'd like to thank the crew that came out to help with that. Josh came off the caboose. My son Oliver here came in from camp, and George himself came off the
All right, thanks, Tim, and we'll see all of them down in camp. All right, so Alan's going to bring us around this dredge pond and into main camp. Up on the screen is going to cue up some video, and that should be showing dredge number 8 actually in operation. And then as we come around the back of the dredge, this is the only view of the back of the machine that you can get from camp here. So you might want to get some pictures and video. And a couple things to see here. The big stacker, you can see the anchor spuds that held the dredge down while it was digging. You can see the tail sluice that discharged sand and water back into the pond, and you will also see probably the single most important piece of this dredge, at least for the men working on board their long 12-hour shift, and that is the outhouse. It is mounted right there in the bottom of the steps, in between the anchor spud and the tail sluice. So, underneath the stacker, we go and into main camp. Again, when you exit the train, your crew will meet you and they will hand you a poke. Everybody on board, littlest to biggest, everybody gets their own poke. Even the little baby back there in the third car. You head into the panning shed and you're ready to get to work. Any questions or problems, let us know. We got the hardest working crew in the interior, and the crew is here to help you out. Once you have that gold in your pan, that's yours to keep. You can bring it inside main camp. The crew in there can weigh it up for you on the scales, tell you how much you got and what it's worth. And gold trading this morning at $2,311 an ounce. Crew inside can also make a piece of fine jewelry right there for you using the gold that you pan here at dredge number 8. Inside on display at the gold counter is a 19-ounce gold nugget. That's a $75,000 plus piece of natural placer gold right out of the ground. You're welcome to pick it up. You can feel the weight of that metal in your hand. That one you cannot take home with you, but you get a nice picture with it. Inside, complimentary coffee, tea, hot chocolate, box, spring water, and fresh baked cookies from the camp kitchen on the hill. It's a beautiful morning to be here in Fox. Lot to see inside and out. I will be up on the third deck of the dredge later on if you want to come on board, ask any questions. Remember, this is the Beaver Creek train. Lots of time in camp. Please do a final check around. You don't leave anything on the train. I'm going to turn things over to my friend Dexter Clark. He is going to lead you through your panning demonstration. Good luck, everybody, and have fun.
Don't drop it, please.
You gonna find you a big nugget?
Where can we go take a break? Okay.
I got my gold.
All right.
I got the good one.
I got the one with the nugget in it.
No, I do.
I don't know. It feels pretty heavy.
Dredge 8 crew, the excursion engineer, driver guides, all stand ready to help you make a memory of this moment. Once again, there are 4 pictures made. The easy way to do this is going to be all the dirt.
I think we need good light. I think we need good light. So I think this will be good. I think we need good light.
Okay, you pick this
And
one.
then try not to play in that dirt until you've added at least a little bit of water. Away. And once you realize we're getting rid of the dirt, you realize that getting rid of the dirty water, there goes some of the dirt. You're closer to the gold. Keep all the rocks you want, just be sure to rinse them off in the water in the pan before you dispose of them or set them aside. Alaskan rocks love to travel. Keep all the rocks you want. We never get them back in the mail. If you're waiting for permission to take rocks home, that is hereby granted. Can't imagine an HX leaf bit nervous, we shake them back down again. That makes a new top layer. That one's going real good. Anybody else a little bit of foot of rinse here?
Right, that's moving the gold down to the
You say yes? I never touch a pan, but somebody looks me right in the eye and says, yeah, I can use a little help. There's the gravel now, working the gold into the bottom, washed away the top. The deepest part of the pan so that any of the heavy gold would settle into that crevice. Now with the gold safely out of sight, we start to wash away only the very top layer. When we agitate, the gold is going to go to the bottom. Keep it on the bottom by keeping it real soupy. Let the water off the top. Dip and lift. That one's going swell. No problem. The trouble with pushing that bigger rock around, you push it around with water, you're going to push the gold around. Now use the water to move just the dirt. What you want is under the pile of dirt. Easy. One more. One more, one more. Real gentle. A whisper. A quieter whisper. You're getting it. Keep going. We got one little rock in the way. We're going to help that rock. And then double check, make sure there's no gold in this dirt. Even one little speck would be down at the bottom there. And then, since I do not care for water or dirt in the cleanup, just like the claim owner told me on my first cleanup, he was getting a royalty. He said, I don't want a royalty of the dirt. Very nice.
Thank you.
Do your cleanup. Ooh, now we're talking. That one there is looking pretty good.
Yeah.
Do your cleanup in or over
Oh
the
yeah,
pan.
look at that.
Bring the cleanup in for an honest evaluation. They'll weigh the gold right to the grain,
Yeah,
480
pretty good.
grain in a troy.
Find that coffee and cookies. Oh yeah. Wow, how much gold did you find there?
We're never going back.
That's why it's on stick.
I could not pick it up.
That's why it's on stick, so you get your fingers under it.
I gotta use both hands.
That used to be the old challenge. You'd put it flat, and now this is lead.
Oh
So
yeah,
the
you can see
specific
it.
gravity is around 11. Gold is around 19, so this is not quite half the weight, or it's a little more than half
Wow.
the weight of the
And it's
gold.
pretty heavy.
Yeah.
The challenge used to be to offer the guy you can keep it if you can pick it up one-handed.
It'd be fool's gold.
Yeah. I just wanted to let you know there is a way to, but you gotta get your fingers on it.
One-handed wasn't cut.
Yeah. I was on the board back. Years later, they had a 300.
He's giving her instructions on how to lift the gold. Now this one's not real gold, it's lead. It's a little over half the actual weight of what gold would be that size. People still getting their gold weighed. We still have to get ours weighed. It's a neat old cash register.
Check out this record player.
Wow,
That is cool.
old school.
That is neat. You see this big old cash register?
Yeah, I got that. It's a switchboard.
Oh my goodness. It's one of those old circuit boards. What do they call them?
So we just got our gold weighed. How much did he say we had?
26 big ones.
26. And what did he say the average person was getting?
About $6.
About $6.
We did combine ours.
We did combine both of ours together and got 26. So that's pretty good.
So we're doing way better than average.
Yeah, that's about the cost of one of the tickets. Half the cost of one of the
I
tickets.
will tell you all though that Brett did get more than me. Significantly more than me. And I would be super broke if I did this for a living.
Yeah, I wasn't very good at it. I solicited some help.
I guess you get better as you do it more.
Yeah,
so
that-
maybe we need to do it more.
There's definitely a knack for how to get that water to flow and
Oh,
carry
yeah.
the dirt out and not carry the gold out. There's a trick to it. But the guy, he thought that my bag had the top 20 of what he was helping people do, but the people right across from us had a top 10 pan. Like, they had a really good one, really
Yes,
good draw.
they did.
And it's just luck. They just hand out the bags, you grab the bag, go sit down, so you don't know what's in it.
Right.
But at one point, they used to guarantee that everybody had some gold or you get another bag. So pretty neat. Look how big these gears are. They're like as tall as I am. So we're talking to the guy that weighed our gold, and he said this used to be the El Dorado gold mine, and they bought it.
We've got about 10 minutes before our
Oh, we got
train
10 minutes. We
starts.
better rush them.
Sorry to interrupt.
But Gold Dredge ended up, I guess, buying out the El Dorado. Well, let's do a quick run through here. This tour is really nicely set up. I mean, it's what I would call like three-dimensional. You got the train ride, which is a bonus. You get to actually walk and touch and, you know, pan your own gold. You get to visit the dredge. I mean, it's pretty neat, huh? That belt looks like it needs some repair. Oh, come on down. That's all right.
No, this ain't where the crew came to shower at the end of the day. No siree. This here is the gold saving tables where we collected the gold. Dredge shows up for about 4 hours every 2 weeks. Then we'll clean up the basement. Most importantly, collection out the gold. After all the digging, grinding, churning, and soaking, just about the only thing that got it done.
Yeah, I think we gotta go to Arkansas.
Oh, without a doubt.
On a 4-day.
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah, let the girls just
Yeah.
have fun.
I guess I got a couple different ways up here.
Some rubber boots.
You got that? Come on up, man. It'd be neat to have like even a longer tour to kind of tell you, like,
That's the trouble.
yeah, this is Trummel. Pretty neat. They got good lighting on it and everything. That takes out the tailings. Looks like the electrical area. What's that? Oh. Yeah, it looks like a heater. Oh yeah. The bottom floor is kind of flooded out.
Yeah, see, yeah, they didn't have any of this.
No, we did not do it.
Any of this.
It's kind of steep.
I'll be close by you. We're going to the desert. I don't know what to call it. Yeah, I'm not sure. I know that it's called the Falls, but I'm not sure if it's Eastern or they got service.
So it was really important that the week
That's it. I don't know if we qualify.
I wonder if Tony Beats worked here or Parker.
We'll never know.
It's
top secret.
Wear out the edge of the bucket pretty quick. Till a fella named Bucket Louie suggested making them with a removable edge or lip. So all we had to do was replace the lip rather than the whole bucket. It was a whole lot easier, faster, and cheaper. Just like both types of buckets. When you leave the winch room, you'll see some big old gears on your right side. Now those bring the bucket line, and behind the gears is a flat box.
That's it.
That's the hopper where the
I'm
bucket
taking over this operation.
Oh, you taking it over, Madam Mayor?
We're gonna get some gold.
Let's go get it.
This is where most of useless rock and gravel. They fell on the conveyor belt that
Got my hot coffee ready?
I do.
I'm the boss.
You're the boss. I need to go get the coffee, right?
That's right, make sure it's hot.
And this is where my insurance comes in, which means it's time for me to bow out. But I do. Got a little tendency about here.
So, yeah, we're not in the city buildings now. We're
Sure, we're 10 miles north.
in Fox.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of space.
Gold beaver! Gold beaver!
You got gold fever, Madam Mayor?
I got it. I need more.
It's easy to catch, isn't it? And these gears are sure big.
Did you see the big belt over there. That's the size belt we're gonna need to keep eating them cookies.
Yeah.
That's the all-you-can-eat cookie belt.
This is neat to think that you can go on it and walk around.
So you can get the real gold fever. Are you ready to be part of this crew?
Yeah. I bet it's loud in here when it's all running. The dredge has a little tilt to it too. Can you kind of feel it?
Do we go this way? I think we just
This looks like an old town. They made it. This is a really nice setup they got here.
maybe a little bit longer.
Yeah. It's a little rushed at the end, but
Gold rush.
the gold rush.
Look at those old doors.
What a beautiful morning in the Goldstream Valley. And I'm not drinking yet. It is Friday, but someone left a nice water bottle on the counter at the gold counter. I'll put it up here in the cab. You can come and get that if that's yours when we get back. Before we depart main camp, go ahead, turn to your right. There's your All Alaska Gold Dredge 8 crew. Came to say goodbye to everybody. Lunchtime here. All right, so
Lunch.
on this return trip, talk about recovery, shutdown, modern mining, and the future. So Gold Dredge number 8 by itself in 26 seasons of operation recovered just about 600,000 ounces of gold. The entire fleet of 8 FE dredges combined in 34 seasons recovered just over 3.6 million ounces of gold, worth at that time $125 million. So the FE company definitely made their initial $15 million investment back, plus quite a bit more. So the question then is, if they were recovering so much gold, why did the FE company stop dredging? Well, almost the entire time the company was in operation here, price of gold in the United States was fixed at $35 an ounce. No variation in that price, only authorized buyer of gold in the United States, the federal government. So every ounce of gold recovered by the dredges sold for $35 directly to the U.S. Mint in San Francisco. And that $35 an ounce price for reasons was shut down. By the late 1950s and early 60s, the cost of operating the dredges overtook the price of gold. There was no profit left in it, so the FE company turned the machines off and walked away from them. And number 8's been sitting on its pond here since its last day of work, 1959. So the gold did not run out of the ground. The profit ran out of the gold for the FE company and their dredges. So as that dredging era ended, still a lot of gold in the ground, and that wasn't the end of mining. Small-scale placer miners continued to work their claims. They are still working today. There are active gold mines on a small scale all around us here in the Goldstream Valley. I was just out on a gold mine yesterday afternoon. So it's still a very common seasonal economic activity on a small scale. And then 10 miles up the highway from us is the largest active gold mine in the state of Alaska. And that mine is called, very appropriately, the Fort Knox Gold Mine. And the Fort Knox mine is owned by Kinross, It's a Canadian multinational mining corporation, and it is a hard rock mine. Gold there is still embedded inside of its original hard rock gold source. So to get to it, there is a big open pit, half a mile deep, a mile wide. Every morning, crews detonate explosives in the floor of that pit to break up the gold-bearing rock. Excavators move in, scoop it up, load it onto big dump trucks, and 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, those trucks slowly move that rock up out of the pit to the mill. It's run through a series of crushers and ball mills, reduced to a powder, and then that powder is run through a chemical process to extract gold. And the end result up at the Fort Knox mine is about 1,000 ounces of gold recovered every 24 hours. So 1,000 ounces a day, 365 days a year. We're at about $2,400 an ounce right now, and all that adds up into big money coming up out of the ground at the Fort Knox gold mine. So gold here in Fairbanks is our past. The reason for the founding of this town, Felix Pedro's strike, July 22nd, 1902. We are rolling across historic mining grounds right now. The little creek we're going to parallel again, Engineer Creek, just about a mile in length, gave up 96,000 ounces of gold to the underground drifters between 1907 and 1910. So gold is our past. Gold is part of our present, with Fort Knox operating all year round, small-scale placer miners working their claims seasonally, and we have gold in our future as well. I was lucky enough to get up to the Fort Knox mine early this summer. They are undergoing a major expansion, and then about 75 miles north of us, outside of a little town called Livengood, is a piece of ground controlled by another big company called Tower Hill. And Tower Hill has proven on a 75-acre group of claims 13 million ounces of gold in the ground. And as that gold starts to come out of the ground, it's going to bring a valuable mineral in many ways into the modern world, and it is going to bring jobs here to the Fairbanks area as well. So, as we get set to cross Engineer Creek here for the last time and approach Main Station, I can sum up this whole trip that we just took together around the tracks. I know it's a lot of information, sometimes a little bit overwhelming, but here's what you have to remember. In Fairbanks, Alaska, we have a golden past. We are living right now in a golden present, and we look forward to a golden future as well. And that one I made up all by myself. That's pretty good, huh? Right, and that's perfect timing. As always, we are right back here at the main station. My time to thank you for your visit on behalf of Alan, your engineer, Tim on the dredge, Dexter in the panning shed, and your crew in camp. Our job to make sure that you guys have a great time while you're with us. I hope you noticed I put an extraordinary effort into informing and entertaining you to make this the best part of your time here in Fairbanks. I hope that was the case. You guys want to wait until the train comes to a complete stop. After the train is stopped, exit to your left. I'm going to run up front, make sure the path is clear for you. I will shake as many hands as I can up there, but if I don't see you, thanks for coming out. Enjoy the rest of this beautiful day. Bye-bye, everybody.
So, in conclusion, how did you like the Gold Dredge number 8 tour?
That was so much fun. I think I got the gold fever. Got a huge 26 bucks worth of gold.
Right?
Now we need to get some more. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know where to go for it, though.
That was another cool thing we got on the Tour Saver app, where it was BOGO, so it was 55 bucks for the both of us.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the only thing I would improve on that tour is maybe extend it another half an hour. But the people were really great. Mm-hmm. I've noticed too, everybody that we're on the tour with, which is a large number of people, everybody was cool and respectful. And I don't know if it's the Alaska atmosphere that helps with that. because even when we were down in the Keys and it's full of tourists down there, some of them were a little bit more gripier, and maybe that's the Florida heat.
Yeah.
Because I know it can make you pretty crabby, but I just noticed that even the tourists here are much happier.
Yeah, they're probably from Florida and they're not in Florida, so they're happy.
Yeah, I mean, this weather's perfect today, especially.
know.
So we picked a really great day to go do the dredge.
Yeah, I think it's
So-
about 70 right now, maybe even 69.
And we moved to a new spot at the campground.
We did.
So I like this spot even better.
Yeah, it's a little bit wider and a little bit deeper.
So
And we're not quite as much under the trees because the tree sap has kind of been sticking to our shoes, so
it's hard to keep the floor clean.
it's hard to keep the floors clean. But anyway, so the tour was great, and we look forward to the next adventure.
Yep, many more. Woo!